It's Dark World time, baby. The new structure deck is finally here, and I'm gonna be showing you how to play with 3 of these things.
Aye. Subscribe. You can't go wrong with a little bit of RNG, right? Hopefully RNG is going to be our friend today. Today we have the Dark World structure deck, and as always in these 3 structure deck profiles, we're going to start by opening the product, looking at the cards, then we'll dive into a deck list for 3 of the structure decks, and then we will also move on to some test hands, because combos in this deck aren't really a thing, because it all depends on RNG. Upside down mat. Alright, here we go. Let's rush through these cards because we have, of course, already done a structure deck opening, but I can provide at least a little bit more insight on some of the cards now. So, starting off, we have Reign-Beaux, Overking of Dark World. Very good card, not once per turn. You're going to be summoning this a lot, you're going to be discarding this a lot, you're going to be searching off of this a lot. So yeah, very, very good card. We have a Dark World Puppetry. Very good against tiers. It is a quick play triple DD Crow essentially. Maining this is weird, but it is a very good side card, especially for going second as well, because it does just also give you a discard, which is nice. Archives, sadly one of the cards that is a hard once per turn, but a very good card nonetheless, getting a draw 2 discard 1 effect. Grapha, this is our boss monster. The main interruption we're trying to put up going first changes one of your opponent's effects into you discarding a card, so that's going to trigger your Dark World's secondary effects, which is really nice. This is our primary goal for going first. Then we have Dark World Accession, which is essentially the fusion spell to get out Grapha. You can banish from field or grave, or you can discard from hand. Really, really nice. It also recurs itself from grave by discarding a Dark World, so you're basically always going to have access to this after you've used it initially, so very, very nice. Genta is definitely one of the best main deck monsters right now because it's essentially a play starter in a way where you discard this to the grave to search Gates of Dark World, and then with Gates you can banish this. You already have to set up the Fiend in grave to then discard 1, draw 1. And then this special summons itself when it's banished. So, yeah, very, very nice. Very good card. We have Parl, summons from grave, potentially useful. Maybe a one-off. We have Punishment, really nice. Basically a judgment, just the summons half with no life point cost, and you get to discard a Fiend as well. So if you have nothing else, you can at least set this. There's no requirements on field or anything. All you have to do is discard a Fiend. So, yeah, very, very good card in the deck. Then we have a bunch of the garbage Dark Worlds that you don't really play. Some of them you can consider, but most of them aren't really worth it. Sillva is really, really nice. You want to use this to loop cards out of your opponent's hand with the Grapha Fusion monster. Also, so many of these just aren't hard once per turn, by the way, so keep that in mind. Broww, we don't really care about. Beige is a weird one, right? Because in this structure deck, there's not really any extra deck monsters outside of just the fusion. So you're not really benefiting from special summoning this to the field as much. You can't, like, go into Dweller or anything like that. So it's a little bit iffy in the structure deck build. Broww, obviously, draw a card, incredible. You know, all of these just random, situational, kind of garbage cards that don't really extend your plays. We have Ceruli, which is possibly a one-off, special summons itself to the opponent's field and then makes you discard a card, so triggering your other sort of secondary Dark World effects. There are some cool plays you can set up with that. Obviously, don't care about the normal monsters. Dangers, typically, Tsuchinoko is like one of the better ones. However, in this structure deck build, where there's no extra deck monsters to go into, you can't make things like Curious or Linkmon. Well, obviously Curious is banned. Duh! Keep up with the times, boy! But yeah, you can't make any link plays or anything. This doesn't achieve much on its own, whereas things like Bigfoot and Thunderbird, their big bodies are good going second. They mix well with skill drain. And Mothman, of course, if you snipe it, you still get the Dark World dealings effect. These are definitely intended to be like normal summons for the deck, however, you don't really want to use them because too many traps in the deck kind of conflict with getting your plays started, and then Fabled Raven, just, you kind of lose too much advantage with this for literally no benefit. If there was a Dark World monster that you could normal summon, discard a card to search something, that would be really, really nice. But yeah, Fabled Raven isn't going to do it, and then King Blackjack, you don't really want to run that many traps. Dark World Dealings, one of the better cards in the deck. Charge, Gateway, Lightning. You can maybe play this in the side, actually, for going second. Drag down into the grave, card destruction, Forces of Darkness, you know, a bunch of traps that are just too slow, generally. Mind Crush, sure. Deck Devi in the side deck for sure. Dinomischus, Skill Drain, and Punishment. In terms of main deck, you definitely want to choose between these 3. Skill Drain can be a win condition in of itself, however, it doesn't do anything to further your plays, whereas these 2 do by discarding a card. They can kind of fix your hands on your opponent's turn, so it's kind of down to personal preference for these 3, and then of course we have Grapha, Snoww, and the Gates of Dark World. And that's the structure deck. Hopefully that wasn't too long of an opening. Alright, let's fire off some brain cells and see what kind of list we can come up with with 3 of these things. Alright, so after messing around with the deck for a bit, we have here a playable 40 card list, and this list can go first or second, but I have geared it towards going first with some going second options in the side as well. So getting into the deck profile here, we have, of course, 3 Genta, Gateman of the Dark World. This is one of our starters here, setting up Gates of Dark World. We have triple Reign-Beaux Overking of Dark World. This is a non-once per turn searcher for a level 5 or higher, so you're going to be searching your Sillvas and your Graphas off of this Reign-Beaux. Also non-once per turn, summons itself to the field by bouncing back a level 7 or lower Dark World. We of course have triple Snoww in our deck, non-once per turn. When this is discarded, search any Dark World card, including itself, but yeah, this can search the trap, this can search the fusion spell, literally any cards. We also have a triple Broww in the list. When this is discarded, draw a card. We want that consistency. Very, very nice. And then rounding off the 3 ofs in the monster slot, we have triple Danger Mothman, just straight into the glare there. But yeah, we want to balance our good discard effects with our actual discarding abilities. So we have triple Danger Mothman in there to at least guarantee a discard. Double Grapha, we have 1 to use for the fusion spell. It does come back when the fusion monster is destroyed, but we also want a second copy of Grapha for an additional interruption in the hand as a discard effect. And alongside that, we of course have double Sillva. When this is discarded, it special summons itself to the field, non-once per turn, of course, and if it's discarded by an opponent's card effect through our fusion monster, it loops 2 cards out of the opponent's hand. So we want to end with this in our hand so that we can rip 2 from our opponent's hand by negating one of their effects with our fusion monster. We have 2 Danger Bigfoot and 1 Danger Thunderbird. You would probably think, hey, Bigfoot's better than Thunderbird, why not play 3 Bigfoot? But you want to have different names so that you're less likely to hit your dangers. They're also just easy to summon big bodies, which works perfectly with skill drain. Rounding off the monster lineup, we have 1 Parl, Hermit of Dark Lord. When this is discarded by card effect, it can revive a monster. So an example here being like revive Snoww from the grave, and then bouncing Snoww to hand with either Reign-Beaux or Grapha. Keeps your plays going like that, looping Dark Worlds back into your hand. And then we also have a Ceruli, Guru of Dark World as well. Special summons itself to the opponent's field and then discards a card from your hand. So a very basic combo there would be discarding Ceruli, it goes to your opponent's field, and then you discard the Sillva off of the effect, which loops 2 cards from your opponent's hand. You can just do cute things like that with this card. So I thought we would stick 1 in there. Moving on to the spells, we have triple Dark World Dealings, of course, one of the best cards in the deck. Comes in ulti, looks really, really nice. We are, of course, playing commons here with the structure deck. But yeah, draw a card, discard a card. Both players, so you have to be aware in mirror matches or things like a tier limit game, you're going to get fucked, but hey, it is what it is. Double Gates of Dark World. So this by itself doesn't do anything without any form of setup, because you do need to banish a fiend from the grave. So we're playing the triple Genta with the 2 Gates of Dark World. You discard this to search this, and then you're already set up. Like I said, we want to balance our discarding abilities with our good discard effects. We don't want to have bricky hands, and just having too many cards that can't do anything by themselves is asking for a bad time. So we're at least trying to be a little bit consistent here. We also have double Dark World Archives. This is a very nice card, however, it is a hard once per turn, so having 3 of these probably isn't the best of shouts. So if you control a Dark World monster, keep that in mind, you have to control a Dark World monster at least. You can discard a Dark World from your hand to gain attack, but more importantly, trigger the Dark World you just discarded. Second effect, when a Dark World monster is discarded to the grave by card effect, for example, through this card's first effect, you can discard a card and then draw 2 cards. So you can activate this on your turn, obviously, and then on your opponent's turn as well. Just constantly discarding and drawing 2. Very, very nice. Very good card. We have 2 Dark World Accession here. You can potentially cut this down to 1 because it is searchable through Snoww and it does just recur itself. However, I did want to opt to play for the 2 because you don't always want to search this through the Snoww effect. And then rounding off the spells, we also have 1 copy of Card Destruction. This isn't always the greatest card. I was also considering Dragged into the Grave, but again, it's very rare that you get perfect hands where every card is worth discarding. So your opponent would always just go for the worst option, and that's, you know, kind of a waste of one of your discard abilities. So Card Destruction wipes out your hand. If you have any good effects, great, but you're replacing all of those bad effects. And it is, of course, limited, so yeah, obviously we're only playing 1. And moving on to the trap cards, because it is built to go first here, this comes down to personal preference. Here I have 2 Dark World Punishment, 2 Paleozoic Dinomischus, and 2 Skill Drain. You could argue for just picking 2 of the better ones and playing 3 of each of those. However, while Skill Drain is itself a win condition, if you have no other good cards in your hand, this just breaks your hand. So that's kind of one of the downfalls of Skill Drain. Punishment and Dinomischus are both good in the fact that if you have no good discard abilities in your opening hand, let's say you open like Snoww, Broww, Reign-Beaux, Punishment, Dinomischus, you can just set these 2 and then use them to interrupt your opponent while also gaining your effects by discarding cards. So in a way they can sort of fix your hand and allow you to grind in awkward situations. However, Skill Drain is just so powerful that I didn't want to cut it, so I went for 2/2/2, especially because Punishment is also a hard once per turn. It's also searchable through Snoww, but you can choose 2 of these 3 and then just run 3 of those 2. Then for the extra deck, of course, we have Triple Grapha, Dragon Overlord of Dark World. Alright, and then moving on to the side deck, we do actually have a side deck here. We have triple deck Devestation Virus for going first against decks that have lots of little monsters like sprites. Triple Dark World Puppetry. This is very good going second because it is live. Banish 3 cards from either graveyard and then discard a fiend monster. So that is another outlet for your discard abilities. However, going first, you can't really do much with it unless you have some really nice setup, unless you're against tiers especially as well. You could maybe get away with playing 1 in the main to search it when you need it with Snoww. However, by doing that you are also throwing in a card that does nothing turn 1 by itself. We also have a triple Dark World Lightning in the side deck here for going second against decks that set cards, of course. Target 1 set card in the field, destroy it, and then discard a card. And finally, for the last 3 slots I have here, it is a 12 card side deck. For the remaining 3 cards, you could put in anything you want, personal preference, go for it. We have the other 2 Danger Thunderbird and the final Danger Bigfoot. Ideally for going second here, where you really just want to fill up the board and kill your opponent. But yeah, that's the list I have come up with overall here. And there's no set combos because every hand is different. However, let's get into some test hands and see where the RNG will take us. Alright, here is a quick 2-card combo just to show off how good this new support is. So here we have the new Reign-Beaux Ultra Rare and we have the Genta Gateman of Dark World. Just these 2 cards gain so much advantage, so we're going to start by activating the Genta, discarding itself to search for a Gates of the Dark World. We're then going to activate the field spell, Gates of the Dark World, and activate the effect. We can banish the Genta, discard a Fiend, and draw a card. Now that's going to trigger Reign-Beaux to search a level 5 or higher Dark World, and it's going to trigger Genta to special summon itself. So go chain 1, chain 2, special summon the Genta back to the field, and we're going to search Grapha to the hand. Now from here we can special summon the Reign-Beaux to the field by bouncing the Genta to the hand. And because Genta isn't a hard once per turn, we're going to activate it again, discard to search another copy of Gates of Dark World, also not hard once per turn, so we're going to activate the second copy here, and then activate the effect, banish the Genta, discard the Grapha, and draw a card. And then we can special summon the Grapha by bouncing the Reign-Beaux back to hand. And we've gained so much advantage just from doing that. 2 unknown cards in hand here, plus the Reign-Beaux, which we can discard to get another search, of course. But yeah, this is the kind of deck where, depending on your draws and your searches, you can just keep going and going and going. It's all gas. Or you can get hands where you just literally can't do fuck all. So let's see what kind of hands we're gonna get. Alright, baby, here we go. Test hand number 1. We have a Reign-Beaux, Genta, well, perfect. Dark World Punishment, okay, and Dark World Accession. Well, this is basically just the combo we just showed. Let's see where this kind of gets us. We're going to start by activating the Genta, searching for the Gates of Dark World. We're going to activate the Gates, activate the effect of Gates, banishing the Grapha, discarding the Reign-Beaux to draw a card. We draw a Dark World Accession. Okay, we're getting kind of screwed here by the RNG. Sure, so chain 1 Reign-Beaux, chain 2 Genta. We're going to special summon the Genta. Reign-Beaux is going to search for a Grapha. Even though our draws have been garbage, this is actually still fine. We're going to special summon Reign-Beaux by bouncing the Genta back to the hand, and then we're going to activate Genta effect again, search another copy of Gates to the hand there, activate that second copy, of course. Then we're going to activate the effect of Gates, banish the Genta, discard the Grapha to draw 1. Reign-Beaux, wow, great. Alright, here we're going to special summon the Grapha to the field by bouncing the Reign-Beaux to the hand, and then we're just going to fire off the Dark World Accession here, which is going to banish the Grapha from the field, and it's going to discard a Reign-Beaux to fusion summon our fusion boss monster, Grapha, Dragon Overlord of Dark World. Now, of course, because Reign-Beaux was discarded, we're going to get another search for a level 5 or higher Dark World here. And now that we have our fusion monster set up, we do, of course, want to search for a copy of Sillva. So when our opponent activates an effect, we can chain Grapha, change that effect to we discard a card, discard a Sillva, and then that's going to rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. But we're not quite done here, because we do also have punishment to think about. So if we activate the effect of Accession Engrave, we're going to add it to the hand by discarding the other copy of Reign-Beaux here, and then that's going to trigger Reign-Beaux once again to search another level 5 or higher Dark World. We're going to search that other copy of Grapha. So we have so many interruptions here, because if we set the Accession and we set the punishment, our opponent activates an effect, we chain Grapha, and then that makes us discard our Sillva. That's going to rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. Then, assuming our opponent isn't done there, we can activate punishment at some point to negate a summon and discard a Grapha, which will trigger the Grapha to destroy a card our opponent controls, of course. And then we also have Accession, which we can use to get out a second copy of the fusion monster. However, unfortunately, the discard effect on the fusion monster is a hard once per turn. But yeah, actually a really nice first test hand. Let's do another. Alright, here we go, baby. Test hand number 2. We have Skill Drain, win condition, okay. Dinomischus, Archives, Reign-Beaux, and Snoww. Okay, this is the kind of hand I was talking about where it's not incredible. However, we can still do things with this. So with this hand specifically, we're going to activate our Dark World Archives, and we don't have any Dark World monsters on the field. However, we can just normal summon our Snoww here and activate the effect of the continuous spell. So using this effect, we're going to discard the Reign-Beaux, which will buff Snow's attack by 800, I believe. But on resolution of that, we are also going to have some effects to activate. So we're going to go chain 1 Archives to discard 1, draw 2, and chain 2 Reign-Beaux to search a level 5 or higher Dark World card. So off of the Reign-Beaux here, we are going to search for a copy of Grapha, and then resolving the Dark World Archives, we are going to discard 1 and then draw 2. So discarding the Grapha here, we'll draw 2 cards, Accession and Broww. Okay, very nice. We're then going to bounce the Snoww to the hand to special summon our Reign-Beaux to the field. And then we're going to bounce the Reign-Beaux to the hand to special summon Grapha to the field. Activating our Dark World Accession now, we're going to banish the Grapha from the field and discard Snoww. And that is going to summon out our big fusion monster. Of course, on resolution here, Snow's going to activate because it was discarded. We can search any Dark World card here. At this point, I say we probably just search the punishment for an additional interruption on our opponent's turn. And then we're going to activate the second effect of Accession in the graveyard, bounce itself to the hand by discarding Reign-Beaux, and then Reign-Beaux is going to search a level 5 or higher, of course. We're going to go for the Sillva here so we can rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand on their turn. Setting Skill Drain, Dinomischus, Punishment. We have 3 cards in hand to discard for those effects. Brow's going to get us a draw. We once again discard 1, draw 2 on our opponent's turn. Sillva, rip cards. Man, okay, these test hands are looking pretty nutty. Let's see if we can at least brick, okay? Alright, test hand number 3. We have Card Destruction, Gates of Dark World Punishment, Grapha, and Danger Bigfoot. Here we go. This isn't a great hand, to be fair. Card Destruction might actually save it, however. So, here's what we're going to do. We'll probably activate the gates, and then activate Card Destruction. That's going to discard 1, 2, 3, and we will draw 3 cards. Dinomischus, Mothman, and Skill Drain. Okay, this isn't good. Let's activate the Mothman. Discard 1 at random. If you're watching this in slow motion, you're going to know exactly which one the Mothman is. However, I have no idea which one's Mothman. We'll discard this one. Oh, well. Activate the effect. Both players draw 1 and discard 1. So we draw a Ceruli and we discard, I mean, bro. We need the Ceruli for the gates, I suppose. We'll discard the Dinomischus here. Then we'll activate gates, banishing the Grapha, unfortunately. We're going to discard Ceruli, draw 1. Dark World Dealings, okay. Activate Dark World Dealings, draw 1, discard 1. Broww effect, we're going to draw 1. Genta, okay, now we're talking, baby. Let's activate Genta, get another gates to the hand here. Gates of Dark World. However, we do not have a Fiend in the hand to discard, so the second gates is actually dead. And there is the perfect example of RNG just doing absolutely nothing for you. Set Skill Drain and hope it slows our opponent down enough so that we can draw a good card. 2 turns, 3 turns, Sure. But yeah, that is our 3 Dark World Structure Deck video. Hopefully it kind of helps you understand the deck a bit. There's no set combos, like I said. It's all RNG and hand dependent. So yeah, you're going to have to use your brain a little bit on this one. However, you definitely want a lot more extra deck options, and by introducing some new extra deck options like Dweller and stuff, you can kind of change the build to fit that a little bit more. Then you would have a reason to play Beige and things like that. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's another structure deck down. Very, very fun. Subscribe for playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Properly in the next couple of days. And I'll see you then, I guess. Alright, adios, goodbye.